Server is a computer where it shares hardware and software resources to the clients. What is a web server? Web server is a location or it is a computer where all web applications are stored. If you want to experiment or if you want to try with one of your web applications in the server, you can make use of these free web hosting concepts. Dear students, welcome to Computer Science classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Students, today let us start our session with new more topics, that is web hosting and domain registration. Now let us see what is web hosting. Now, web hosting is a means of hosting web server applications on a computer system through which electronic content on the internet is readily available to the any web browser client. What is the meaning of the definition is, web hosting is a means of hosting web server applications. Now, all of you are using different applications or apps, and all these apps are available to all the user in the world. So how it is possible? That is possible through internet. And again, here the concept of web server. And here, let me tell you the definition of server. First of all, what is a server? Server is a computer where it shares hardware and software resources to the clients. And this is in computer network. In a computer network, what is a server? It is a place or it is a computer which holds all the resources, hardware resources and software resources are available in the computer server. So all other computers in the network are able to access those resources in the computer server. So here one of the server is web server. So what is a web server? Web server is a location or it is a computer where all web applications are stored, or it will be hosted. That is the meaning of the word hosted. So here now we are using different types of apps. So all these apps are available to all the users, and that is possible through internet or through computer network. So in order to access any of the apps in the web server, we need to have web browser client. Here web browser is a client software, web server is a location or it is a computer. So web server applications can be accessed through web server or web browser client. So your web browser is a client software. In other words, web server applications on a computer system through which electronic contents on the internet is readily available to the user or client. That is the definition of web hosting. Now, various types of web hosting services are: one is free hosting, virtual or shared hosting, and dedicated hosting, and co-location hosting. So these are all different types of web hosting. Now let us see the definition of these things. First one is free hosting. What is free hosting? This type of hosting offers to host some web pages for no cost. Here, what is the meaning of free host? And these web applications has to be loaded into web server, and these web servers are owned by one of the organizations or any organization. So those organizations are offering these web pages for free or no cost. That is the meaning of free web hosting. Means they will upload or they will load your web applications in their server for free, for no cost. That is free hosting. Why it is free? It is maybe for the fun or maybe for their advertisement. That can be one of the reasons for this. And if you want to experiment with a site or put up a small or personal site for fun of it, a free package will be suffice. If you want to experiment or if you want to try with one of your web applications in the server, you can make use of these free web hosting concepts. Example for this is WordPress.com, Wix, GoDaddy, Squarespace, Google Cloud, or few example for free hosting websites. Here you might have familiar with GoDaddy. See, that is one of the websites will be having their own server, and it is available to the users through internet for free for no cost. So this is free hosting. Now let us look at another definition of another type of web hosting, that is virtual or shared hosting. Virtual hosting is where one's website domain is hosted on the web server of hosting company along with other website. Now at this stage, these our web applications has to be loaded or uploaded into the web server of any of the organizations they provide web hosting service. Similarly, in virtual hosting is nothing but one website domain is hosted on the web server of the hosting company. Now look at the example here. Now in this example, this is a web hosting company. They'll be having one server. This is one server. In one server, they will reserve some space in their server for one of the company, and for another company, and for another company. So this is virtual or shared web hosting. Means this is one server of web hosting company, and the same server is shared by 3 different organizations as in the example. So here this is nothing but virtual or shared hosting. Now one can access and update to these sites, and its files are carefully secured. Once it has been loaded or shared in web hosting company's server, and it is secured, it is independent. So there won't be any connectivity from one organization to another. So this is an independent website or web domain. So this is. Now next point is, through a logon ID and password, one has 24 hours access to maintain one site. See, this is, in this example, this is one of the organization, second one, third one. In this organization can have number of users. So it can have number of users, and it can create its own email ID for all the users along with ID and password. Those type of maintenance are available within this system. So this is under shared hosting. One can present oneself as a fully independent identity to his or her web audience. So it acts as an independent web service or independent website to one of the organization. So this is virtual or shared web hosting. Next one is dedicated hosting. In this type of hosting, the company wishing to go online rents an entire web server from the hosting company. So look at the example here. Here there are 3 organizations here. In this type, the company wishing to go online rents an entire web server from the hosting company. In the previous example, what we have seen, that is only one server of the web server organizations or web service providing company, and one server is shared by more than 2 or number of organizations. So but in this example, the web hosting company, it provides an independent server to different users or different organization. That is nothing but dedicated hosting. So this is suitable for companies hosting larger websites, maintaining other sites, or managing a big online mall, etc. And these type of dedicated hosting will be used by large organizations. Dedicated is for large high traffic sites or for those with special needs such as e-commerce or security. So this is also one of the applications of dedicated hosting, or these type of companies, they'll make use of these type of dedicated hosting service. And physical server is dedicated to a customer, and the customer has a control over their server. And just now, as I told you, this is one server dedicated to one organization by web hosting company. So here this is reserved only for one organization, another server, and this another server, and this is again independent. And here customer has control over their server. Here customer or the client or organization has a full control over this his own server. Again, it is independent from all the other server. This is dedicated hosting. Now let us see one more example. This is co-location hosting. Another type of hosting is co-location hosting. For those who do not fit the dedicated server mold, hosting companies offer a similar but less restrictive hosting known as co-location hosting. So what is the meaning of that? Here, co-location. Here, these type of surveys are used by a small organizations. So they will make use of this type of web services. In this type of hosting, the company actually owns the server on which its site is hosted. Here, the server is owned by the company. That is, the company owning the site rather than the web hosting company is responsible for all server administration. Under co-location hosting, all the administration work, all administration part of is taken care of by the company itself, not web hosting company. Next point is the web hosting company is only responsible for providing rack space and physical needs. Company's organized server is physically moving from its location to the web server company. In this example, the organization is physically moving its server to the web hosting company and they provide rack space. The meaning is that they are going to maintain the physical computers or physical server of any organization along with the physical needs. And this generally includes high-speed connection to the internet, regulated power supply, and limited amount of hands-on technical support such as data backup and or hardware upgrade. See, these are the things taken care of by web hosting company. So here only any organization is willing to go for co-location hosting. They are going to physically move the server to the web hosting company and they are going to maintain the physical needs. And all administration part is left with the organization. Now this is an example here. Web hosting company, they're providing, there are two servers separately, is an independent server for two organization. So this is co-location hosting. Next we move on to one more concept, domain registration. What is the meaning of domain? Now you might have come across different websites with .com, .edu, .org. For example, google.com, or you might have heard gmail.com. So here .com is a domain. So here .com is a domain, .edu is a domain, .org, .mil. And all these domains has to be registered with this non-profit organization, that is ICANN. So this is non-profit organization. They are going to maintain the service of providing domains to any of the organization. So here all domain names or registers are accredited by ICANN. It is Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, and it is a non-profit organization. Suppose if you want to go for any of the domains, what is the first step is we have to register domain. For example, gmail.com, yahoo.com. Here the user cannot decide whether it is a .com, .edu, .org, and this is a non-profit body organization. They are going to decide by looking at the business or what type of site it is and what are its application. So here generally .com is generally given to the organizations or any company where they are dealing with business or commerce. And second one is .edu for education institutions, .org. It is for any small organization, they will be given .org. .mil, this is reserved for defense. So all these are nothing but domain names and it has to be registered at ICANN. Now, it is an act of reserving a name on the internet for a certain period of time. Suppose if you register any of the domain name, any of this, and it will be there only for limited period of time, maybe for 1 year. Then after 1 year of time, you have to renew your service. That is the meaning of this. So it is necessary for email, website and other web services. Why do we have to go for domains here? Domain name because it is necessary for us for email service. For any organization, if they have a domain name, they are going to provide email address to all its users, and they will be having their own website and other web services used by different users in the internet. So this is the purpose of domain registration. Next, one should think of the following information for domain registration. Suppose any organization would like to go for any of the domain names, there are two following points to be considered. One is domain name. Here domain name, this is user defined name. A user can select any of the name, and extension name .com, .edu, .org, this will be divided by the what we have seen here. This is ICANN. They are going to decide by looking at your applications or users. So this is the second part of it. So the domain name, here user can select any of the name as per his wish. Next, domain name registers. This is a company, and here that is the meaning you have to register and you have to purchase domain name. So here, whenever you are going to purchase, we have to keep in our mind email forwarding. These are the services: site statistics, business account, bandwidth, limitations. So here, suppose if you go for any of the domain, we have to keep in our mind what is the space available for the users, and if there are more number of users, and what is the space we have to buy from the company. So it depends on the number of users and their applications. The organization has to think of email forwarding, means number of email accounts and the amount of space for individual email account. And similarly, business account and bandwidth. What is the bandwidth? Is nothing but the speed. At what speed the user can access the information through internet, that is the bandwidth. And limitation: front page extension, CGL, and PHP scripts. And in that website or within that domain, what are the applications users can make use of, or any organizations can load different types of application according to their requirements, and all these are limitations we have to keep in our mind. In this session, we have discussed about what is web hosting and types of web hosting and what is domain name registration. Thank you very much.